Hey everybody, it's Charlie
and Alyssa
from Daily Motor, and we're here doing a little Q&A session on our brand new 2021 Tesla Model Y. Now for those of you who haven't seen, just over a week ago, we purchased this standard range rear-wheel drive absolute base cost Model Y, and I still love it.
I love it a lot too.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase is certainly not over with this Model Y. So we've done a few videos on it. We did an intro video, we did our initial range test. We're gonna be doing a lot more of those with sort of different climate controls, different outside temperatures, maybe a few different wheel and tire configurations. But we've gotten a lot of questions on the Model Y so far. So today we're just gonna take an opportunity to go through and read through some of those questions. And even though I do my best and we do our best to answer those questions in the chats, in the comment section, if there's one person asking, there's probably a lot of people who would like to know. So, because we are one of the lucky few with a rear-wheel drive standard range Model Y here in early 2021, we're gonna go through and answer some of your questions now.
First comment is from Wasabi9111, and he says, it'll be interesting to see how it handles in the snow with rear-wheel drive. Will you be installing winter tires?
Absolutely, that's been a question we've gotten from a lot of people. It's a rear-wheel drive car, comes with standard all seasons. How does it perform here in the Michigan winter? So far, we have had it out in some snow, and we do plan on doing an individual video talking about its snow capabilities, probably once we get a fresh delivery of snow, nice covering, which we might get here in a few days. One important thing to remember is, even if you only have rear-wheel drive, if only the rear wheels are being powered, every car, whether it's all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, has four-wheel brakes and two-wheel steering. So, more important than getting going is your stopping and turning abilities. Therefore, I would rather have winter tires than an all-wheel drive car on all-season tires. This car came equipped with Continental Pro Contact all-season tires, and it's already almost February here in Michigan. This winter has been relatively mild, even for southeastern Michigan. So we're going to leave the tires as they are for now. They're fresh, tread is still good, but we will be getting not only winter tires for next winter, but also 18-inch wheels. This car came on 19-inch wheels, but we're gonna get 18-inch wheels so we can have some thicker sidewall. So it'll be interesting to see the effects on ride quality, as well as saving our wheels should we get a lot of salt on the roads, which we always do, any big potholes, things like that.
Which we always have.
Yes, yep.
Yeah. Question number 2. Lone Gunblade asks, please do a full daily 80% charge and run until empty. And he wants to know how many days and miles the car will survive. He has a 2014 Model S60, and he loses about 10 to 12 miles of range every cold morning at 30 degrees. And he only drives 2 miles. So
I read more of that person's comment earlier, and they went on to talk about how they don't charge their vehicle every night. And I don't know what his or her situation is with where their car is parked, but electric vehicles are intended to be plugged in every night. It's just like your phone. It's like if you were to try to go and not charge your phone overnight and start the day with only 30% or so, and then be like, man, I'm charging in the middle of the day, or I have to take a break off of phone calls or something like that to charge my phone. The idea of an electric vehicle is to have it fully charged, ready to go in the morning. So even a vehicle like this that has a 244-mile combined EPA estimated range, you can do all of your driving that you need to do in everyday situations. We'll absolutely talk about our experienced daily range, kind of just driving around. And so far, if we drive easy, and we have the heat set on a moderately low setting, like 66 degrees or so, it's possible to get about what the car says we should get. If we go here to our energy screen and go to 30 miles, so over the last 30 miles, I've averaged 231 watt hours per mile, and that, as you can see, is dead on with what the car expects. I think 230 is its kind of prescribed energy usage, and over the last 30 miles I've tracked that, and it has been below freezing this whole time. So that's really good. I mean, I've driven easily. The car's kind of already been warmed up. It was only like 65, 66 degrees in here. Had no problem getting to that.
All right, question number 3 from Thomas Jacques. Curious what your charging speeds are on the SRY on a version 2 or version 3 supercharger.
We've only supercharged the car twice so far. And I'll bring up the Teslafy app here on my phone so we can see kind of what our average charging speeds have been on those chargers. It hasn't been quite as high as I've hoped for, but supercharging can vary depending on what other vehicles are plugged in there, the temperature outside, the temperature of the car, your battery state.
A lot of different factors.
A lot of different factors. I supercharged yesterday and it started out when the battery charge was down around 30%. And it started out about 75 kilowatts and then dropped off pretty quickly from there down to about 60 and then kind of trailed off progressively as the battery went up. So by the end, it was about 37 kilowatts. So not fantastic, but we're going to be doing some trips with the car. We're going to be hitting more superchargers when we're not near home. And once we get more data to kind of average it out, then we'll let you know.
All right. This next question is from Garcia Family. We are between this model and the Ford Mach-E. Have you reviewed the Ford yet? And they do still have tax incentives.
Yes. So the Ford Mach-E, technically the Mustang Mach-E, is a very comparable car in terms of size and estimated range. Obviously coming from a very different ownership perspective. Owning a Ford is a lot different than owning a Tesla, just kind of on how the companies operate and the driving experience and what you'll expect. But exciting enough, we actually have a little bit of seat time in a Mach-E tomorrow. Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
So we're gonna get one from a dealer. We're going to spend a little bit of time to do a quick comparison, and then we're gonna have a full week with a Mach-E in March.
Okay.
Early March. So stay tuned. We'll do a quick kind of comparison video on the two coming up soon. We'll probably have that coming next week. And then once we get time to really spend time with both cars, a few days in each and going back and forth, we'll have a really in-depth ownership comparison.
That'll actually be really interesting in terms of timelines, because we're at the end of January. It's going to be February in a couple of days. We're averaging probably 25 degrees Fahrenheit a day. And then we'll be able to compare the Mach-E in that temperature. And then we'll have it again a month or so from now, where it might be 5 to 10 degrees, a little bit warmer.
Yep.
And we'll test that again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be good to have them in a few different weather situations like that.
Right.
For me, off the bat, we definitely considered a Mach-E between Alyssa and I, and then also Chris up at the Topher. The reason we ended up pulling the trigger on the Tesla was the Tesla has a lot more interest in terms of search, YouTube, everything like that. There's no getting around that. Also, the Tesla ownership experience is just different. Things like mobile service, things like over-the-air software updates. Tesla really has been in the EV game only, whereas Ford is sort of retooling and kind of needs to shift mindsets in order to build an electric vehicle.
Almost rebranding as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we've had electric vehicles that we've liked. We had the Chevy Bolt, that's a good car.
I love that car.
I like the Hyundai Ioniq as well, even though its range is a little more limited. But when you're talking about supercharging networks, when you're talking about sort of the hype and this minimalist experience.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
The Tesla is a different beast. So if you're strictly looking at cost, yes, the Mach-E has the $7,500 tax incentive, but if you really need to pinch pennies and you really want to optimize your cost, buy a used Honda Accord. I'm sorry, an electric vehicle just might not be for you at this time. They're all expensive, especially for getting a really usable vehicle.
I think when comparing Tesla and Ford, Tesla is the granddaddy of the EV game, and Ford is like the new 20-year-old that's working at the company.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
Right. Yeah, Ford's definitely done plug-in hybrids, and they've had the electric Focus, which was nothing outstanding for a while now, but Tesla's really gone in hard and has been doing a great job, and Ford's got a lot to prove. The other thing to consider is resale value. Yes, the Tesla costs more without that tax incentive, but Tesla resale values have been excellent over the years, and all other electric vehicles have been really bad with resale values. So maybe the Mach-E will flip that, but I'm not expecting any miracles.
Right, yes. Okay, cool. Next question is from Alex Bureau06. Please make a sound system of this Tesla Model Y.
Absolutely. We will be doing a sound test. Probably going to do that here in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. We'll do the whole Daily Motor thing. The other thing is some people claim that speakers have a break-in period. Now, the jury is still out how much speakers really do need to be broken in and how much the sound quality changes after that. But I do think it'll be good to give it a few weeks and then do the sound system test after that, after I've really experienced a lot of different kind of music and we can do a really thorough, informed test.
This next question is from Hunter Ellis. Hope you can find another owner and do a side-by-side of the white interior versus black and Gemini versus induction wheels.
Sure. Yeah, we'd love to kind of do some comparisons, not only visually, but also of like a long-range car for acceleration and handling and that sort of thing, because those cars are 400 pounds heavier, but also arguably a tad bit faster. We'll see. I kind of prefer the 19-inch wheels, and as much as the white interior is pretty in the right light, I knew that the black would age better, less chance of getting dirty and jeans kind of wearing off on it and everything.
Yeah.
And on bright sunny days, the black is going to look a little more classy, less glaring in the eyes. The white really shines back at you. It's a very bright white.
So bright, yes.
Yep.
All right, this next question is from Vampire Online. This is the first I've seen the Model Y back window with the rear view mirror when driving, and it's not as small as people are saying it is.
We kind of chuckled when we read this comment earlier because Alyssa mentioned, man, that rear window is small.
Yeah.
And the commenter is talking about our other videos that are shot with the POV camera and then kind of see in the mirror.
Yeah.
I will say the mirror does a good job of kind of focusing on what you need to see behind you.
Yeah.
It's not quite as bad as like the second gen Prius where there's a big bar right in between where you need to see. But it's not huge back there. It's certainly limited. It's a small opening and there are some pretty thick blind spots. I haven't really noticed the blind spots being an issue daily driving yet.
No.
And when you're sitting here looking at it at the rear mirror, it's really not awful, but it's small.
Right. That's quite small. AZ asks, so hopefully down the line, maybe you could look into upgrades in the interior and exterior as well.
Absolutely. Tesla offers certain upgrades you can do, like the tow hitch, which we plan on doing. That'll be $1,200 to have installed at a Tesla facility. That'll allow us to have up to a 3,500 pound tow rating, tow some motorcycles around or bikes or things like that, like bicycles on a rack. And there are also upgrades you can do to the software. There's the full self-driving upgrade, which is $10,000. We probably won't be doing that unless it really makes some leaps and bounds, but that's a possibility. And there's also aftermarket things we can do as well. One thing I have considered, as much as I like this big sunroof, it would be interesting to know if someone makes like a felt covering for it or something. The reason being, it creates a lot of echo. So when you're on the highway or something and there's road noise, it makes for a louder cabin in here. So I don't know, that's just something I thought of that you could do to change the inside of this, because there's really not much else I would change.
My initial reaction to that is, oh boy, Mr. Soundman getting so picky here. But then I did think about all the couple of times I've been on the highway with this, and
it's not as loud as
like
it's not loud like a gas car is where you're hearing engine and things like that, but there's just a lot of sound, and I do think a lot of that's because it's just a sound reflector.
Glass, yeah.
And I noticed that even shooting this video and shooting it and listening to the other videos, there's kind of an echo. It's sort of a reverberation in here. So
interesting. Okay, carry on. Sean Dom asks, I need to know how many miles you get so far, just driving miles. I know they say 244 miles online, but it's better to know actual driving miles.
Absolutely. And so we did do our real world highway fuel economy test with the Daily Motor Standard, 70 miles per hour average, 73 degrees in the cabin. And doing that kind of like hard case situation with below freezing temperatures outside, you'd only get about 180 miles or so doing that on the highway, running hard speeds, high temps. But we plan on doing more highway tests, daily driving type tests, things like that to see what a realistic range is. And as I was saying earlier, if you drive just average, if you take off at moderate paces and you don't run a high heat in here, the EPA kind of 240 mile estimate is very attainable.
It's Jesse Bro asks, or he says, heated steering wheel now.
Yeah, it's not apparent on the Tesla website, but our 2021 Model Y did come with a heated steering wheel, and it's one of the best heated steering wheels out of all the cars I've used.
It's awesome. It's all the way around.
Yeah, it's 100%, and it heats up really quickly and gets really toasty, but then sort of cools down to a setting that you can just leave on. Some heated wheels, it's like, okay, my hands are warm now, it's burning me, I'll turn it off. This sort of like heats up quickly and then cools back down. And we're going to do a test at some point. We actually have a heat measuring gun.
Oh, cool.
So like a heat laser measurer. And we're gonna test it. We're gonna have the car cold and then turn the heated steering wheel on and see how quickly it heats up.
I love that. That's so cool. I love these names. Billion Babe XOXO says, I want to see the speed on a full charge.
Speed on a full charge, eh? Well, we will do some instrumented testing, official, and kind of road test review, that sort of thing. But maybe let's just go for a little drive and we can kind of see what it's like right now.
Cool. What is our charge at right now?
We are at 84%, so not exactly a full charge, but we should be getting just about full battery-ness.
That's
full
as
power.
We're gonna get right now.
Yeah. It's gonna still be pretty peppy. And typically, when you own a Tesla and you're daily driving it, you are not going to charge the battery up to 100%. It's better for the battery and for your driving characteristics to only charge it up to 90. It has a little indicator that says daily driving and like road trip levels for 100%. That's for a few reasons. One, it's healthier for the battery to not be charged up to 100 every time. And in order to fully utilize the regenerative braking, you don't want the battery to be all the way full because then it can't do full regenerative braking power. But when you only charge the car up to 90, then right when you get out and start driving, there's enough wiggle room in the battery capacity to allow you to recuperate energy. The easiest way to kind of think of it is if you were filling up a football stadium with people, if the stadium was 99% full and you wanted to get an extra 50 people in it, you'd have to be very particular of where you situate all those people in there. But if it's only 90% full, or even better, 30% full, people can pretty much just rush in and sit wherever. It's much easier to find a seat. Or for those of you who don't have football, think of it as like a movie theater. The theater's empty, you can sit wherever. So same thing sort of applies if the battery wants to regen and add a lot of juice all of a sudden. If there are only very limited spots for it to go, it can't get in that quickly.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that's the same reason that supercharging is faster at lower battery speeds, is that you can dump a ton of juice in there and it can go to pretty much any open cell.
So Michael S. says, interesting how your car was delivered with the old infotainment software. The update that came out last month shrinks the speedometer and moves it to the left. What was the build date on this car?
I found that interesting as well. The build date was January 2021, so they built it and sent it right out to us. But we still haven't gotten any software update. I do have the software set to advanced updates and still no prompts. So here's hoping. Most people say that within a month of ownership, you'll get updated to the most recent software.
Okay.
But we're still waiting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you need to take it into the nearest dealership for, right? You
Nope.
just get an automatic notification on your Tesla app, probably.
Yep.
Oh. Paul Twice 22 says, I see snow on the ground. Are you guys worried about having rear wheel drive versus all-wheel drive?
Nope. No, I'd rather have rear wheel drive. It's lighter. It should, in theory, handle a little bit better.
It's probably a little bit more efficient as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like we said earlier, we'll throw some winter tires on it and it'll be fine. I think we can probably find a little bit of snow to drive around on in this video as well. But here's a straight section of road. So there we do, 0 to 70 at 82% charge. It's plenty fast. No sort of traction issues. The electric motors, since they have such precise traction control, can get exactly how much power is required to each wheel in order to get it to take off. And yeah, it's not as not so fast as some of the performance level Teslas, but still plenty quick.
It's still fast. The acceleration is always what gets me. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tinder Gold says range anxiety is still scary for me. Haha.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is definitely a real thing. If you were driving somewhere where you're going more than 200 miles and you still needed to get home or to a certain destination or whatever, there's more and more places to charge up quickly. And there are things you can do, just driving easier, turning the climate control down. It does require you to be a little bit more deliberate about your driving. You have to, especially if you don't have a 240 volt charger at home, which we do not yet, you do have to be a little more like, okay, what's my charge level at? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? And maybe what do I need to do tomorrow? But as long as you have a 240 volt level 2 charger at home, then you're always starting the day with 100% or 90%, you know, a full charge. And
as long as you plug it in every time you're done driving it.
Yeah. If you don't, then that's on you.
Yeah. The Gay Frogs say, I'm taking delivery in the next few days. Whereabout is your VIN? Curious about features and the like.
Our VIN is right around 10,000. So for those of you who are tracking Tesla VINs, it kind of goes all the way through like numbers and letters and then gets to the last 6 digits tell you kind of when the car was produced. So we have like the 10,000th Model Y, roughly around there. But that's sort of, because Tesla doesn't keep changes to specific model years, you could have a 2020 with different features than an earlier 2020 or a later 2020. So I bet you later 2021s are going to have the newer updated center console, possibly even updated interior things. But at least for our car, 2021, around 10,000 VIN, we've got the heated steering wheel and the premium interior and everything.
Zaf Sadok says, what is the range number you see on display when full?
Well, admittedly, we've actually only had this car charge up to full one time in the last week. Like I said, we're only charging on level 1 charging at home right now, and we've been driving it a bunch. We've got, I think, almost 600 miles. Yep, 640 miles. But when it was charged up to 100 that one time, we had 239 on the meter. But when we charge it up to full more often, we'll let you know what we get.
This next name is perfect. Tesla Ho.
Okay.
I see that there is no badge showing it's a standard range.
Correct. It just doesn't say anything on the back, just the Tesla badge, whereas the upper models would say dual motor. Ours just is nothing. Kind of nice, little incognito. Doesn't say poor man's version on it or anything.
Good.
Yep.
Green Multisport says, please do a few different types of range tests. That is my biggest concern with this version of the car.
Absolutely. Like I said, we'll be doing all sorts of range tests, different scenarios, and just reporting on our general daily driving range.
Alex is asking if we do an autopilot trip.
We certainly will. We'll cover autopilot probably pretty exclusively in at least one video.
Yeah.
And then also when we do a few road trips in the car, we'll kind of talk about autopilot's pros and cons. It really isn't that much better than just your standard. I take it back. It's a very good active lane keeping assist. It does a really good job at tracking the lines, but without the full self-driving package, it can't change lanes by itself. Anytime you hit the blinker to change lanes, it disengages autopilot.
Right.
Whereas if we did have the full self-driving suite, you'd just be able to tap the blinker and the car would change lanes on its own. That's all you do. And if you had the right settings set up, you wouldn't even need to do that. It would just, if you were set at say 74 miles per hour, car in front of you was doing 70, and there's nobody to your left, it would look, turn the blinker on for itself, get over, pass, and come back over all on its own. So the base autopilot is, it's kind of like just having a car with a really good active lane keep assist. Yeah.
Would you say it's the best on the market?
I've heard from very reputable sources that Cadillac Super Cruise is better, but Cadillac never put Super Cruise on any of their press vehicles for some reason, so we don't know.
Right.
So it's probably the best I've used, yes.
Got it. Okay. Nuaja Dennis.
Some of these names, man.
Man, I don't know if I said that one right. Sorry. Says, how does it drive on wet surfaces or snow, being a rear wheel drive?
Well, fortunately for you, we're in a lot that's covered with snow. As you can see, there are a few circle tracks in there that may or may not have been somebody with a Nissan GTR making those tracks. But this is relatively snow covered, and we'll kind of just, we'll see how it does. It's not a huge lot. Throw it into drive. I mean, yeah, this isn't like going quickly down a snowy dirt road or something, but I mean, most...
There's some slippage.
Yeah, slipping just a little bit. Most snowy type stuff you need to do,
There it goes.
I mean, you can get around. And if you go into here, you can go to driving and slip start, and that does allow you to have a little bit of extra slip. So right now our wheels are spinning.
Oh wow.
Yep. And once you get up to like 5 or 10 miles per hour or so, it doesn't slide anymore. And it doesn't allow you to like drift slide. You can feel the stability control kicking in.
I was driving on some snow-covered dirt roads the other day. Actually, I went on that same road 2 days in a row, and it was fine.
Really?
It was totally fine. I went down a hill. I was nervous if I had to go up that hill though, that dirt snow-covered hill, because I'm not entirely sure I would have made it up safely with just these all seasons on it. Snow tires should not have an issue. No. But it was totally okay. There was no slippage. I even drove through a neighborhood that its streets were covered in ice, and I had to brake suddenly. And it slipped. It kind of glided, but it didn't like fishtail, it didn't turn, it just glided forward slowly to a stop, and it was fine.
That's one of the most important things to remember, is because of the very precise traction control in the electric vehicle here, we'll come up on the snow and I can nail the gas and it's not going to spin out on us or do anything dangerous. So right now this looks like kind of like a broken like gravel with snow. I'm gonna floor it. I'm floored right now, and it's only providing enough power to get going.
Wow.
And turning around, and I mean, yeah, you gotta be smart like you are with any car in snow with your braking distances and turning and everything, but just because this is rear wheel drive doesn't mean it's a death sentence to drive with all season tires. All wheel drive is very overhyped in the automotive landscape.
Yeah. It's not really necessary, and it's not efficient whatsoever.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be using up a lot of gas or whatever you use to power your car. And you're only going to be using it a couple of months of the year. Right.
I will say, if you live somewhere where it's very snowy, you get a lot of snow, and you need all wheels to be powered just to get out of your driveway, okay, fine. You probably could use all-wheel drive, but...
Right. Or you're in a very mountainous region.
Yeah, you do hardcore off-roading or something like that, a lot of hills. But for a lot of people, all-wheel drive is just kind of a feel-good. Yeah.
Remy Dussel is asking if we can do a 0 to 60. We kind of did. Yeah. Yep,
we did. There you go.
Covered. The doc says, how much can you fit in the back with all seats occupied?
Quite a little bit. Well, let's hop out and do a quick look back there. You can see it's a very large opening.
It's really nice.
And quite a lot in there. And even with those back seats up, you've got all this completely flat load surface you can do a lot with. And as Alyssa's showing, you've got this huge underfloor storage compartment. So you can get a bunch down in there. I mean, that's probably 2.5 feet or so of just straight down, and probably 4 feet or so across.
And it actually stays up like that too.
Yeah.
They've got these little divots in the back where it rests. It will stay up. So we went grocery shopping last week, and we had 5 decent, like full Aldi bags, and they all fit in this. 5 of them, just completely stuffed with stuff.
Yep.
And we were able to fit an entire pack of, an entire pack of paper towels and milk and another giant bag in the back here, and it was so satisfying. I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yep, and then you can fold the seats down really easy, and you got all.
Goes up too.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you can lift this one. You get some more storage. This would be a little bit more permanent. Like, we don't even need that in there. It's a front license plate holder. We can take that out, but if you wanted to store like a blanket under there permanently for when you do need it type of thing, so you can have kind of your more permanent stuff in there, semi-permanent in here, and then your day-to-day type of stuff on top. And then if you fold the seats down, you can fit a ton of room. I just had the mountain bike in there, fat tire mountain bike, yesterday, and it fit in there no problem.
And you went and got groceries and was able to have the fat tire bike in the back and the groceries in the front.
Yeah, I was able to do that. I didn't have to screw with moving my bike at all or anything, because I was able to put all these bags here in the front.
Marco C is asking if it comes with premium audio.
It does. This has the 14 speaker audio system. It sounds quite good. We will be doing the sound test.
It really does.
One thing I will say, the sound is a little forward focused for my taste. There is an immersive sound mode. You can do off, standard, or high. It does make it sound like it's coming from a little bit more around you, but I don't find that to sound particularly good. Certain songs I like standard to be set, but what I actually did is I moved the balance back in the car, so it's focusing the sound a little bit more in the back of the vehicle, and I kind of like the sound of that better.
That is actually very cool.
Yeah, but it does sound good overall.
I do want to say I was driving the other day, and I love classical piano music. I've got a Spotify playlist, and with the electric car, it's so quiet. I was driving, I just felt like the classical music surround me, and it was just a wonderful, peaceful experience. I really enjoyed it. Karen Polk says, you close the frunk in a particular way. Can you do that on video?
We can show that again. I do think our frunk is a little hard to close right now. I don't know if it's maybe a little bit out of calibration or something. We're gonna give it
cold,
maybe. Yeah, it's possible. We're gonna give it a month or so and see if it improves or changes, but
or we're just not used to it.
Possibly, but I have had frunks before that are easier to close, so unless I'm doing something wrong, I think you kind of let it you close it down, do the first click, and then give it a little extra push to latch it.
Right.
Yeah.
But double latch. Trunk.
Right,
trunk,
for safety.
Lid.
Yeah.
LL says, I'm keen to see whether every YouTuber like L1 Tesla and others discouraging the purchase of this particular standard range Model Y are proven wrong. Maybe taking the car on a long road trip would be everyone else's point of interest.
I absolutely agree. I think the early conclusion, and we'll absolutely talk about this more as we've owned the vehicle for longer, but I think the early conclusion is if this were your only vehicle, it'd be tough. You'd have to live life pretty deliberately, at least like being out here in Michigan or something. If you lived in downtown LA or New York where you drive 5 miles in a day and you're stop and go, you'd be totally fine, no problems. Yeah. But living out here in an area like this, if this were your only car, you'd have to either not drive much, not take a bunch of road trips, or just be very particular with where you go. But as a second vehicle, no problem. If you have a gasoline car in your garage to use, and this is a spouse's car or just a second car or something like that, no problem with the 240 mile range. So far, that's what I think we're gonna conclude.
Okay. ZXNUC, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, asks, what else comes with premium interior on that standard range?
We will be doing a video kind of talking more about exactly what comes with this car, what we've got and what we don't have, but you get the premium sound system, you get the upgraded level seats with the 4-way lumbar adjustment. What else? You get 2 device wireless charging, I think 4 USB Type-C ports.
Heated steering wheel.
Heated steering wheel. Heated seats all around, so even the middle and all the rear seats have heat. Auto dimming rear view mirror and outside mirrors, which is really cool.
That's really nice, yeah.
Automatically folding rear seats. When you kind of press the button from the trunk, they'll flop right down. The one thing this car doesn't have in the interior that bothers me is no HomeLink garage door adapter. Teslas used to come with that, and now they don't. You have to pay like $400 for that. And it's not even like an option in the build configurator. I think you got to get it as like an accessory or something. So that's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And Alyssa and I just found out today that our little garage door opener going up in the visor was actually scratching the material. So we realized that's not a good idea. She noticed it on the driver's side here.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what is that from? And I was like, oh no, that's from that.
Yeah, so we have to clip it in like this. And it's actually this little part that divots out. It's scratching our interior here on all sides.
So we're gonna have to get a new plan for that.
Yeah. Kevin Morrell is asking, does the Model Y come with new headlights?
It does not.
All right, fair enough. Michael Shim says, do you reduce tire pressure to 39 PSI for better ride quality? And how do you feel about that quality?
When the car was delivered to us, it had about 40 PSI in it, so 2 below factory spec. And I've since bumped it up to 42 cold, and I really haven't noticed any difference in ride quality, so we'll probably leave it. There's a possibility that if we're really not doing any distance driving, once we kind of get our main range tests and video shot and everything and some road trips, maybe we'll drop it down a bit. But I really don't think there's going to be too much of a difference between 42 and 39, but we'll try it.
Okay. Hunter Ellis asks, does it feel fast despite being SR? Does it push you back in your seat when floored?
I'll let you answer that.
Yes. Yes, it does. I described it before as when you're flooring it, the acceleration reminds me of those Star Trek or Star Wars TV shows and movies where you're seeing the cabin in the spaceship and they floor it. They go into warp speed drive or whatever, and the stars are zooming past you, and that feeling that they kind of, the actors show, that's how it feels like for me. You're just like, and it's cool because it has that electric little whirring sound, so it also has that feel to it as well.
Which is funny because that's where Elon Musk gets ludicrous and plaid mode for the super fast Model S's and Model X's and everything, is from the movie Spaceballs, where they have that and they call it ludicrous mode for one step, and then they go to plaid mode, which it's like instead of the stars going by, it's like everything turns plaid. So that's why Tesla calls the super fast motors the plaid motors.
So yes, it does.
So it's accurate.
It is fast.
Yes.
And last but not least, Arcano. I love this car. Plus 230 miles is plenty for me, since not commuting to work these days, even though, if need, it is 100 miles back and forward. Concerned more about taking off from zero compared to other vehicles. Would you comment, please?
Trust me, it's, as we just said, plenty fast enough. That torque is there instantly. I fully agree that it's plenty of range for all of your daily sort of driving, unless you're the type of person who maybe needs to get up and go on a moment's notice and drive somewhere way out in the boonies with no superchargers. Then this car will get you everything you need to do. It will be interesting for us to take it on some 1,000+ mile road trips and see if it gets annoying having to stop every hour and a half to 2 hours to charge. It's quick charges, but still, I think what'll probably be the most frustrating is, say it's late at night, you're deadheading to get home, we're trying to slug through Ohio, it's a 4-hour drive, and you're sleeping, it's late, we just want to get home, but we have to stop and charge for 20 minutes or something.
That would be really frustrating.
It's like, but at the same time, we can just kind of stop, turn some Netflix on, and chill. So it'll be really interesting to actually experience that, and we'll definitely report. But don't worry, this car feels plenty fast.
It's almost too bad they've taken The Office off of Netflix, because that's a perfect, those are like 21, 22
You're right,
minutes.
those are like charge-friendly episodes.
Charge-friendly episodes. Stop, grab a cup of coffee, grab some, like, Five Guys or something.
Right.
Have some dinner, watch The Office, get up and go.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious, because I think by the time you go inside, use the bathroom, come back out, and mess around on your phone for 5 or 10 minutes, like you're ready to go on the next leg trip. So it'll be interesting. So thank you all so much for watching. If you have any more questions, definitely fill up the comments. We'll always be kind of following up, whether it's ownership updates or range tests or responding to you in the comments or more videos like this. We're also going to be doing live drives, so keep a lookout for those. Anything else you want to say on the car at this point?
Not in the car, but we are really interested in what you guys have to say, what you want to know, what you want to see, what your concerns are. That's the whole point of doing a video like this. We sifted through and read all the comments and answered the ones that we thought were pertinent to our ownership so far. So keep them coming.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching. We're Charlie and Alyssa from Daily Motor, and as always,
drive on.